welcome to this new episode of Take a Look, the European People's Party series on digital policy agenda for Europe, in which we take a look at what the EPP family is doing in the space and how it is leading the charge on those topics. Today, let's take a look with Penninckx. Penninckx, welcome on Take a Look.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today on Take a Look. You are the head of the Information Society Department at the Council of Europe and a long-standing friend of the EPP, and I'm very pleased to welcome you today for this episode. My first question would be about whether you could tell me a little bit more about your role at the Council of Europe and about the extent to which that organization is really key in setting standards in digital. For instance, when it comes to AI or cybersecurity or internet governance. And, because there are 47 member countries at the Council of Europe, from Azerbaijan to Iceland, I can imagine there are some challenges that you have to deal with. So I'd like to hear you on that as well.
Thank you so much, Aline, for giving me the floor. Yes, I'm the head of the Information Society Department. And in fact, it concerns all the topics that you want to be speaking about today. Because Information Society covers media and media freedom, but it also covers data protection, cybercrime, and artificial intelligence. On top of it, we have a strong cooperation program with business, namely with the internet intermediaries. So I think I'm well placed to represent the organization on that. The Council of Europe, as you know, was set up in the aftermath of the Second World War. It's a value-based organization. It's some people say it's the conscience of Europe. I would say sometimes it's the conscientious objector of Europe. And in fact, in digital, we have been active already a long time, because the first data protection convention, dating back to 1981, that's 40 years ago, was already about automated processing of data before the computer age. And 20 years ago, we elaborated the Cybercrime Convention, so-called Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, which is still today the only global standard in the world that deals with cybercrime-related events. The key thing there is that we're speaking about open global conventions, and that already gives the tone. That is, we are speaking not only of the 47 member states of the Council of Europe, but we also have access to countries in Latin America, Africa, and Asia who are active partners, and even in Oceania. For example, Australia is also part of the Cybercrime Convention. On internet governance, we've been dealing with this already some time as well. And for example, on the role and responsibilities of internet intermediaries, the open nature of the internet, and quite a number of other items such as content moderation, on which we not only set standards, but also try to develop cooperation activities with our member states.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick. I know that you are, at the Council of Europe, you are creating certain frameworks, and I was wondering, how do these frameworks interact with other ones that already exist or that are being developed, by individual countries or, by regions like the European Union? And if we can, I'm particularly thinking of the new EU AI Act proposed by the Commission. There are ongoing debates as well happening simultaneously at the Council of Europe, which is working on an AI treaty. How could, these two influence each other?
Well, Aline, if I wanted to be provocative, I would say that the Council of Europe is often asked how its legal frameworks fit in with other work. But I don't know if the same is asked to other institutions. More concretely, on a global level, I believe that in order to answer this question, we must first of all go back to the mandates of other international or regional organizations. And these mandates are already articulated in relation to each other. For example, for the Council of Europe, since 2007, we have a memorandum of understanding which links the Council of Europe to the European Union and designates the Council of Europe as the reference as international organization for human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. the key values that we base ourselves on. The example of the recent AI Act, the Commission proposal basically for an AI regulation, is a good example of this dynamic. We're closely following and are in close contact with our colleagues in Brussels who have built also on our work, notably in their study supporting the impact assessment of the AI regulation, where there's a lot of reference to the Council of Europe's instruments. Commission representatives, they also attend our working groups, which have entered the stage of writing right now the components of a legal text. Equally significant, if I may say, all international organizations have joined forces to publish a common website on AI regulation. And I invite you to go and see it. It's globalpolicy.ai, which brings together all the initiatives of the United Nations, including UNESCO, the OECD, the European Union, including, of course, the European Commission and the Fundamental Rights Agency, and of course, our own Council of Europe information that we have on this. The idea is to offer a simplified and coordinated access, revealing the complementarity of each of our institutions. Finally, we must not forget the states themselves. We work at their service and within the framework of the missions they entrust us with. So legally binding frameworks are not directly applicable for the Council of Europe, but require a ratification procedure, guaranteeing that there is democratic intervention of national parliaments. And the dialogue with our counterparts at national level is therefore permanent, with a compass firmly anchored on the values that have proven their effectiveness. The European continent is indeed experiencing the greatest period of global peace in its history, but that is built on common standards and common values.
Thanks very much. I think joint approaches when it comes to regulations of technology and the digital economy, I think those joint efforts can be more efficient to really give those approaches more thrust. So thank you very much for shedding more light on the Council of Europe's work, particularly relating to digital policy and how you manage to coordinate countries and approaches. My final question is a little bit more informal. I was wondering what kind of person you are online, if you have a preference for, let's say, social media, podcasts, or perhaps streaming.
Well, Eline, I don't think they pursue the same objectives and are not mutually exclusive either. So I do take part in social media for both personal and professional purposes. I think social media have allowed us, especially in the times of the sanitary crisis, to stay in touch, to hear from each other. So I'm also fully aware of the bubbles that they may create, but at the same time, they allow us to stay in touch with our community, our connectivity, be it personal, family, or professional, and advance together, discuss things together. Podcasts, they can fit into it and elucidate in very short lapses of time, sometimes difficult topics. So I'm all in favor of it. For example, on 10-11 June, just last week, the Council of Europe Specialized Ministers Conference on Media and Information Society was open to online participation. All was live streamed with an enlarged public, and so not only the 44 ministers that were present were there and could participate, but also a large forum of thousands of people following it through different digital means. So this increases the transparency and I think also promotes participation. In a word, I'm all for it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely expanded access to knowledge and information on those channels. Thank you so much, Patrick Penninckx, for joining us today on Take a Look. It's been really nice to share this moment with you, and I hope to see you in person very soon. And thank you very much to our audience for following this episode, and we see you as well very soon again. Thank you.